Okay, today we are playing a game on Dorado. The average SR of this game was 2,765, and we will be playing Mercy the entire way through. And our current team composition is Reinhardt, McCree, Soldier, Pharah, Zenyatta, and Mercy. So, our team is very weak to dive, is the immediate thing that stands out to me, because we've got 2 hitscan DPS, Zenyatta, and Mercy. These people, I mean, McCree can sort of defend himself. Soldier doesn't really like getting dove on, no support likes getting dove on, and our only tank is Reinhardt, who is not very good against dive compositions because he can't really block any of the damage. So, and generally what you see these days is a dive comp, and we're defending on Dorado, so the attacking team is even more likely to be a dive comp because there's a lot of high ground defense going on Dorado, so you usually have to be able to get up there. Reinhardt also doesn't work correctly right now, so that's another issue. One day, god damn it. So, basically, we should probably just scrap the whole thing and start again. We don't want Reinhardt. Reinhardt doesn't work correctly right now. Isn't very good with against dive compositions. We'd rather have D.Va. 3 DPS is fine, but one of them, Soldier should be Reaper instead, because Soldier doesn't like people diving on his face, really. It's not like he can't defend himself, but he's not really big into people being on his face. And who on our team is gonna kill a Winston that's on our team, you know? It's gonna be pretty difficult if they come at us with a dive composition, so I've also always been of the opinion that if you're gonna have one tank or one healer, you should have one healer, because it's not so hard for one healer to make up for not having a second healer. It is very difficult for one tank to make up for not having another tank, because your front line is just so much weaker if you only have one tank. Maybe if, one of your DPS is Mei or Reaper, because they're, kinda tanks in a way, but I've never been a fan of only having one tank, especially now when just oh god, it's all on your face at all points in time. So, yeah, even though, it's funny how time changes, isn't it? Because if you look back at this team 4 months ago, you'd go, yeah, it's fairly average. And now I'm this is actually one of the, uglier teams I've seen this season, which is, it's funny how the times change, isn't it? So let's start the game. So we're defending on Dorado right now. We're currently crouched up here with our Pharah, biding our time, and then we're gonna dive on them, and see if we can pick some people off right at the start. It's a very all-in gambit, and we're working our way around the back. We've managed to kill their Reaper. Reaper's probably pretty upset about that. We've killed Lucio. Lucio's probably pretty upset about that. So we see that they do indeed have a dive composition. We've now seen enough of their team. However, it all went swimmingly. We just popped out right behind them and we killed a bunch of them, and it went great. And now they're probably pretty upset about that one, because, Pharmacy just sort of came up around the backside and killed half their team. I'd be upset. So now we're going for round 2, and, doesn't go quite as well this time, but it's still going pretty well. And fool me once, shame on you, shame on me, fool me twice. No, that's right, that's backwards as hell, whatever, you got the idea. It's just, English is a stupid language, don't even worry about it. So, Pharah's going in way deep right now. I don't really think Pharah is, positioning all that well. There's a lot of just, floating out in open space, but there's also a lot of Goomba stomping happening. And it's not like they have anything that can really kill Pharah immediately anyway. Reinhardt has very much overstepped his boundaries and has died. Don't want to res him, even though we have it, because, frankly, he's gonna die the second he gets resed anyway, given where he's standing. So, I've gone back a little bit too far, but no, this is way too far, actually. Okay, so the reason I was going back is we go over here because we're trying to get to McCree first. Zenyatta is more important than McCree, and he was also in critical HP while we were going for that, for 2 reasons. First off, he's a support, so that's generally more important than a DPS, and he's currently closer to the front line, so he's the one that's more likely to get killed. So, instead of going for McCree, I'd rather we went for the Zenyatta, because supports, you gotta stick together. So Pharah went in way too far. Pharah got fucked. Oh god, they're all alive again. I'd probably do the same thing. I was thinking I might have just rezzed Pharah even sooner than that, but then Soldier did kill a bunch of people. But now they got all rezzed back up, so yeah, probably have to revive Pharah to even, like, stand a chance of fighting them off. Pharah's managed to get away despite almost looking like she was gonna die. We have now lost our Zenyatta, we have now lost our McCree, and we can't res these people. We've lost 3 members of our team. It's not really looking very good. We have at least got Pharah to hang out with in the air, and there's nothing on their team that can really kill Pharmacy that easily, provided, you know, it's being played correctly, because they've got Genji and Reaper as their DPS, they don't even have a D.Va. So there's that at least, and we've actually managed to hang on well enough that the rest of our team is starting to reinforce. Soldier's over there in way deep, manages to get away with it. There's no justice in the world, honestly. It's funny because we're Pharmacy right now. So, everything went a lot better than expected, you know, isn't it incredible how things can look so incredibly bleak, but it can still work out. Half the team's dead, you know, it all works out anyway somehow. So Reaper's doing that. Reaper's not allowed to do that, but unfortunately Pharah can't just, like, straight up kill him for performing that maneuver. We killed him in the end anyway, though. So Winston was coming at us in the tunnel right there. That's pretty spooky, but we're still with Pharah, so we managed to get away fine. There's not too much happening right now, as you might have noticed. We're basically just playing Mercy right now. This is sort of the thing when you watch a Mercy game. There tends to be less to talk about if everything's going okay, really. So everybody's really low HP. Miraculously, nobody actually got killed. Oh god, Reinhardt, please don't die. Reinhardt didn't die. McCree's died. Zenyatta's gonna die as well. We can try and get, like, a 2-man res in here. I stop healing the Pharah in that position because here's what I'm thinking. There's 2 people here. We can just about swing resing these 2 people. If we don't heal like, this sounds so terrible, because I'm just like, if we let Pharah die, we could res 3 people. And I think that would be better than trying to help the Pharah live through Barrage, because even if you're healing the Pharah, she usually dies during Barrage anyway. So I would have let Pharah die so that we could take the 3-man res. This is just the kind of guy I am. I think we res here. Yeah, instead we only res the Reinhardt. That's not very good because, I mean, one, we've already lost the checkpoint, actually, because they've just pushed the checkpoint, the payload past us anyway. And we're also rezzing Reinhardt into a very uneven fight, and we don't have anything to try and swing it with, because the rest of our team was still respawning, because we didn't res them. Well, they were walking back from their spawn, so we actually made that worse by rezzing the Reinhardt, because that was just more people for them to kill again. It's very easy to res people poorly and effectively just feed the enemy team more ult charge while giving up your ult. Mercy is a lot about fucking up the ult economy, really, because they have to use 2 ultimates to kill your team, like Graviton Barrage, Graviton Pulse Bomb, and then you use your ultimate and you completely undo all of their work, and then that just fucks up the ult economy for them. So it's very easy. If you res poorly, it's actually very, very punishing, because you trade your quite important ultimate and give them more ult charge. So Zenyatta's using Trans over there. I don't know that he really needed to. Why did he use Trans? Was it because he was being pressured? Why did he use Trans? It's so hard to tell without the other person's perspective. Yeah, I guess he just thought he needed to use it over here. Unless he was being... It's really hard to tell with, like, support ultimates if you can't see the support's perspective. Because I don't know why Zenyatta used his Trans, but I don't feel like he needed to use it right there. I don't know. I couldn't see what he sees, though, so... Overwatch is kind of that way. So, we can farm up our ultimate off of this D.Va right here, which is pretty cool. These deaths have all been just slightly staggered enough that we can't actually res these people, which feels really bad. Oh god, Winston's coming at us. Winston, in general, is pretty hard for our team to kill. Someone on our team does eventually change to Reaper. I don't know if they have yet. That's not really a legal maneuver, very optimistic. However, we've got res, so we can bring her back into the fight. Oh, look at... Oh, Graviton's happening under there. Pretty scary to jump over the bridge like that, because Graviton's a real big AoE. and we just sort of jump off before really seeing exactly where we're right on the edge of getting pulled into the graviton, so that's kind of spooky to just jump off the edge of the bridge like that. So, unfortunately, that happened. 3 people dead, we can't res them. You know, I would have res those 2 people as well. I think that was the play to be made. It's just, unfortunately, then half your team dies after that, and then what are you gonna do? You can't ult twice, you know? So, yeah, we've basically been playing Mercy this entire time. It's all been pretty fine. There are now ways the enemy team can flank us, so we do want to be, looking around more often, because now there's the left-hand side to us that the enemy team can get to quite easily, and we haven't really been looking over there very much. And they've got a dive comp, so there's a good chance somebody might go over there. So we want to be, like, looking around more often for people actually flanking us. Because we've been just sort of looking at the people we've been tethered to for a while. Oh, get fucked, Reaper. Damn, feels bad, man. So yeah, I think a lot of the trouble that we have been having is that our team isn't very good against a dive comp. We do now have a D.Va instead of McCree, but we still have Soldier. If we were going to trade one of them for a D.Va, I would have traded the Soldier, because McCree's better at fighting people in his face. He's better at fighting flankers and divers in general than Soldier is. We also, like, really kind of want a Reaper, because Winston has been generally fairly annoying. He's very hard for our team to actually kill. Barrage killed a bunch of people. That's like the first okay Barrage this entire time, actually, you know. Barrage is kind of that way, where it's like Pharah is better than her ultimate, which is very rare for most heroes. Usually like Dragon Blade is better than Genji. Not really the same for Pharah. So things get very awkward right here, because we end up having to solo res this Zenyatta, and we unfortunately just barely miss out on resing these other 2 people. How healthy were they? Like, let's go back a little bit further. Yeah, they're reasonably healthy, because it's like, if you think you're gonna have to res, you kind of want your team to die quickly, but then, like, our team dies immediately afterwards. And Zenyatta gets rezzed just late enough that he can't use Transcendence to actually save the tanks. It's very unfortunate, you know, it's... Do you res the Zenyatta earlier, so that in case this happens? Like, do you just res the Zenyatta now? You probably do. Like, you probably res the Zenyatta sooner than this. Also, like, push tab more often, because knowing who has ultimates is pretty important information, because that affects how you play. Especially as a support, like, you know, if you're playing Ana or Mercy, knowing who has their ultimates can affect how you use your ultimate. So just, like, push tab more often, because I think if you know Zenyatta has Transcendence right now, then I think rezzing Zenyatta just now is the correct play. Because... like, the fight's going okay, right? And they're not all here currently. Like, the fight's fairly even up until this point. So I think if you know Zenyatta has Transcendence, and you just res him sooner than this, because then he can use Transcendence, and you can just all go in on the remaining attackers through the Transcendence. And it, like, removes the possibility of, Dragon Blade actually killing people like this. But, I mean... this is the thing with, Resurrection, is that, you know, sometimes, and it's like, if we're clairvoyant, we know that rezzing Zenyatta early is the correct play, because we know Genji uses Dragon Blade and kills both of our tanks with it. But I think if you know he has Transcendence, just rezzing him sooner is the correct play. Because then Transcendence is just so much more guaranteed than Mercy's res, you know? It's funny how the meta swings around as well, because there was a period in time where everyone was like, Mercy's really bad, Zenyatta's actually better, because Transcendence basically means your team doesn't die, whereas Mercy has to be the one that survives, whereas Zenyatta, he just pushes his ult, you know? I think if you're in a situation like that, where the fight is reasonably close, if you've got a Zenyatta and he's got Transcendence, that's worth more than Mercy's res, because you shouldn't die through Transcendence in most circumstances. Obviously you can, like Graviton Pulse Bomb, but they don't have that. Or you can get, like, one shot by a sniper or something like that, but they also don't have that. So... now we're on the third point. D.Va's doing the thing I don't like what D.Va's doing, where she just throws the ult in like that. Very bad, don't do that. No. almost never kills anybody. And it's better to zone people off with, or use it to get another mech. So a lot of people on our team are using their ultimates right now. He's using Tac Visor, she used Barrage. So we've used both of our DPS ultimates to win this fight, which is fine. We got a team kill, we've killed their momentum. It can be very hard for the attacking team to regain their momentum on this map, and they've only got 30 seconds left. On this checkpoint, I should say, not this map. And they've only got 30 seconds left. We've almost got res. We really don't want to die right now. Soldier shouldn't be standing up here, and we shouldn't be standing up there with him, because that's a bad place to stand. Pharah also shouldn't be up there, because that's a bad place to float as well. So we've almost got res built up. That's cool. Zenyatta's probably not very close to having Transcendence. So we see this happening, and this is just textbook Mercy play. So, when you're in this position, because we're waiting for Pharah to die, when you're in this position where you're like, yeah, I'm gonna use my res on this fight, like, we can tell really early on that we're gonna use our res on this fight, tell your team to go and die. Do you say that? Can we hear what you're saying? Can't hear what you're saying. Maybe you told them to go die. If you didn't tell them to go and die, tell them to go and die. Because, like, we know really early on in this fight that we're gonna use our res here, so if you did tell him to die, great. If you didn't tell him to die, tell him to go die. If you're playing Mercy and you've got your ultimate and you're waiting to use your ultimate, you tell those motherfuckers to go die. So, Ana's getting really bullied around. I don't know if Ana's probably better than Zenyatta in this circumstance, especially since didn't have trans at the time. Since she just used it, you know, we rezzed them. Oh no, their Mercy came in and rezzed both their tanks. They don't have Graviton to use on the res. And it's not, you know, Zarya and Winston getting rezzed without their ultimates is not exactly, like, a high-impact res, really, you know? We've built up another res in the middle of this fight, which is very helpful. Mercy's ult tends to charge up pretty quick when you've got some nice ult battery champions to farm up off of. And yeah, we're just pinballing around the entire map right now. But, I mean, like, honestly, you could show me this game, and if you, like, blocked out all the names, changed the skin, you could tell me this was me playing Mercy and I'd believe you. Like, play almost exactly the same way as me. There's, in general, not very much to say about this game, really, other than, like, hypotheticals. You know, was this res really the best res? Could we have done better than this? I find that's often what it comes down to with Mercy, really. It's like, you know, you sit and you debate, was this the right time to use the res? And sometimes you'll never know. Sometimes you'll just never know. Oh, God. Mercy is sort of that way, where, when you've got less mechanics as a hero than other heroes, you know, you tend to get through the replay pretty quickly, because there's sort of less to do. And I think in general we've been prioritizing people correctly. We've been just sort of bouncing around the fight. We've been hanging out in the sky away from all of the people that can fight us as much as possible. It's all been going great. It's all been pretty textbook Mercy play, really. So, Pharah, we've still got Pharah, you know. I think we have Reaper now. Do we have Reaper now? I'm trying to, like, look at everybody on the team. Where is our... No, because that's Soldier over there. I'm fucking blind. I'm fucking blind as hell. So, no, we still don't have a Reaper. I still think having a Reaper would have been a big benefit to us, because, you know, if you can just, like... I mean, their tanks were Winston and Zarya. Like, Reaper counters both of those tanks. Sometimes he doesn't counter Zarya if Zarya's high charge, but even... Actually, you know... Now, I think about that. Now that he has lifesteal, he probably still counters Zarya with high charge anyway, actually. Because you probably can't actually kill him quickly enough through the healing. Further testing required. Reaper would have been pretty sick to have this game, though. Because, like, they had Winston and Zarya. You know, just kill both of them with Reaper. Easy game. Easy money right there. Honestly, it's gone a lot better than I would have expected it to, given the team comp, honestly. I mean, it just shows to show that team comp isn't everything, but, I feel like if we had a slightly different team comp, it would have been easier. So, they do have a D.Va now, which makes it quite difficult for Pharmercy, because, D.Va is actually a counter to, Pharah, so... we get drilled into right there, and we sort of, like, decide that we're gonna try and hide in the corner. I find trying to hide in a corner like that is almost never gonna work out for you. You're better off just trying to fly back up to the Pharah and just, like, GA between people. Cause, like, everybody saw you go over there, so there's no way they won't get over and kill you. So it's just like, even though, you know, the natural reaction is like, oh fuck, I'm just gonna get out of the way. It's like, usually just, if you just like ping pong between people, they just might hit you, might not hit you, which is usually more likely than hiding out of the way at low HP, because everybody saw you go over there. Didn't matter though, nobody else on our team actually died, so great news, we didn't even have to worry about it. So we've almost got res built up, that's really cool. Team's getting a little overzealous, right now, and we're like, kinda like leaving the payload behind. You want 3 people on the payload at all times, because that makes it move the fastest. Right now there's 1 person on it, so it's actually moving really slowly. So the internet must be pretty terrible right now, because you might have noticed that suddenly we're watching this video on a potato. So that's pretty cool. Why internet? Okay, so who died over there? I was kinda distracted. Probably not worth rezzing them anyway. D.Va losing her mech over there. Someone got nano boosted. It's Reinhardt. Reinhardt not really the best person to nano boost, given our, relative team comps, because, Reinhardt in general, not the best nano boost usually, unless he's really in a really good position. And given that most teams these days are dive comps, or mostly dive comps, they can tend to usually just get away from him. So, would have probably just used it on Pharah instead, even if she, doesn't have her ultimate. Cause a nano-boosted Pharah is actually pretty scary, cause, suddenly a direct hit rocket just kills you, if you've got 200 HP. So Pharah died over there. We don't really want to res Pharah just by herself. Do we actually still res the Pharah by herself? I'm not 100% on that one, because I don't think you gain enough tempo off of resing the Pharah for it to be worth it. They do, of course, also use 2 ultimates immediately afterwards, which also sort of, kills off the momentum a little bit, but we can't know that's coming ahead of time. I don't think resing the Pharah is worth it. I don't think you gain enough tempo off of resing her to justify the solo res. And yeah, we didn't really... We've used a lot of ultimates now. Baby D.Va's behind us, and we're trying to fight him off. Oh god, here comes Winston. Oh god, Winston's killed us along with Baby D.Va. Yeah, I'm not sold on that solo res. I don't think it was, worth it tempo-wise. I think you could have all just, backed up a little bit and waited for it to come back, or maybe use the res for a better thing than that. Well, we'll never know. It's all hypotheticals. So, we've now got Winston instead of D.Va. Good change. Enemy team is Genji and, Soldier, so Winston is pretty good against those heroes. Sometimes good against D.Va. If D.Va's low HP and trying to back away with defense matrix. When do we get the Reaper? Because we definitely got a Reaper, so that's really spooky, because Dragonblade Genji's coming out. So I don't like the way we float right here, because we float over this wall. And the thing is, we know Nanoblade Genji is in hot pursuit right now. Nanoblade Genji sees where we're going right now. He knows where we are. There's no way he doesn't know where we are. We're going over a wall away from him, he can just come over the wall, or he can come around the side and just cut us. Whereas if we go over the wall, we have less options to get away, and he does indeed just come in hot pursuit of us. So, he ends up not killing us anyway, but I feel like going over the wall right there just, limits your options, but doesn't really give you anything extra for getting away from the Genji, because can just hop over the wall or come around the corner. Whereas you cannot do these things. And you have to, poke your face out the door to actually try and get away from, get to somebody else. So I think floating over the wall, not really best. Probably, try and ping-pong back to the rest of your team faster. So, we wanted to res the Winston as well, but we resed, a split second too soon, and he ends up not getting the res, which is very sad. I acknowledge the effort, and that was probably the correct play to try and wait for the Winston, but we did it just at 0.2 seconds too soon, which feels bad, man. So, having a Reaper would still be pretty sick, even though they have a D.Va. This Winston's generally being a bit of a pain. Now we have a Reaper, great, awesome. I wish we had a Reaper the entire time. So, I just really like Reaper, though. So, maybe that's just personal bias slipping in, but Reaper is so good. Mei is actually, surprisingly good. I think, right now, because she, like, really fucks up D.Va's day, basically. And, like, dive heroes in general, she really fucks up. I think even if you're on attack, the defending team is often just also a dive comp right now. So I think Mei is actually, like, pretty good if the enemy team's got a D.Va that's being inconvenient. So this is just, like, a very tragic moment that we're very close to having our res. And we don't quite get it. I think if we didn't break our tether on Reinhardt, we might have built up just enough to solo res that person to try and save ourselves, but that might not have even been worth it either, really. So, we've got a minute left still. We've almost got res built up. I wasn't looking when you push tab, so I don't know what other ultimates we have right now. We have no other ultimates right now. Alright, that's pretty sad. So Soldiers just changed to Genji. Not really sold on that one. Everyone's always picking the Genji, man. You know, Genji, I'd rather have Tracer a lot of the time than Genji, but, you know, whatever. Or McCree. Like, Genji is, it's so hard for Genji to, like, kill a lot of, popular heroes right now. So, do we res right here? Yeah, we do, cause, no, do we not res right here? Do we not res these two people? No, we do res these two people, okay. I thought we did, but it seemed to be taking a long time. So, we've res those two people. Yep, definitely, 100%. Unfortunately, that happens. Not much you can do about that one, really. Nano Visor is really strong for a reason. There tends to be very little that you can do about it if the Nano Visor is used at the correct time. And it's like, yeah, I would have res those two people. I don't think anybody would have not res those two people. And, it's just, unfortunately, then, they just killed us again with Nano Visor, which is sort of how you deal with, play of the game is not in this replay, which is sort of how you deal with res generally, is, you get the Mercy to use her res with, like, an ultimate or two, or just killing people, sometimes that happens, and then you kill them after the res with another ultimate. So, that's just well played by the enemy team, really, like, you just kind of, you sort of get fucked in that situation, really. Let me move my camera so that we can actually, like, see the whole stat line, seeing as that was being pointed out. It was a pretty sick damage amplified stat, actually. It never like, the damage amplified stat never really looks like it's that high. That's actually pretty high damage amplified. So I don't think there was any, like, really big things that stand out in this game. I thought it was, like, pretty good Mercy game overall, you know? It's basically exactly how I play Mercy. My friend who also plays Mercy says just like how she plays Mercy. It's how you play Mercy, you know, you bounce around, you heal the people, you res the men, and sometimes you're really sad because then you get killed after you res all the men. I think, like, the biggest issue in this game is just that our team comp wasn't that good. Because it was a relic of an age past where we've got, like, the slow grinder style heroes set up, and that just doesn't really work if the enemy team is way faster than you. It doesn't work out. This is why it's just usually dive comp versus dive comp, because if the enemy team is really aggressive, if your team is passive, you'll just get rolled over. If your team isn't also really aggressive, you can't really fight them. This is a very extreme example, but, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there was no hero limit in the game, and Zenyatta's orbs never fell off of people, even if they broke line of sight to him. So, for a while, if you go back and watch, like, any pro game from, like, the beta or early season 1, you'll see this, where the most popular team comp was Genji, Tracer, or Genji and Tracer, 2 Zenyatas, and then, like, Winston and Zarya, or 2 Winstons. And you just went, and you just ran at them, and your flankers have got constant regen on them, the enemy team's got, like, constant discord on people. That team, and it was, every game was just a mirror match of these two team comps, really, because if the enemy team was running that comp, you had to also run that comp, because if you didn't, they just ran over you with sheer aggression. You have, like, if the enemy team is really aggressive and your team is not really aggressive, it's hard to actually, like, fight them off unless you're in, this is generally speaking. There are exceptions to this rule that can be pointed out, but generally, aggression begets more aggression, basically. Having a Reaper would have been really sick. Not having a Reinhardt would have been pretty sick. Just like, I don't feel like Reinhardt really did anything this game. Like, I feel like Reinhardt basically had no presence this entire game. Because how could he really? Like, the enemy team is like Winston, Zarya, Genji, Reaper. Like, how could the Reinhardt possibly have very much presence this game? I feel like that's like the big thing, and then the other thing is like not having a Reaper during the defense phase when they were running Winston and Zarya. It was like the big reason that we lost this game. I feel like we played about as well as we could as Mercy, honestly. And then, we can debate about the reses, as is often the case with the Mercy replay. You can debate about reses, but I think it was like team comp more than anything else. So, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer, and I hope you found the video helpful, even though, this is more of like, rather, contrary to usual, this is sort of like how you play Mercy rather than how you don't play Mercy. Interesting, isn't it? So, yeah, thanks for watching.